Hello, Global Theater. My name is Jerry Fielka. Today is December 2024. We want to thank Rob Grant and his amazing podcast, I'm Probably Wrong About Everything. Please subscribe. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with Cami for part two. How cool is that? Cami, how do you say your entire name?
It's Kamila Abdrakhmanova.
How
It's
cool.
a bit hard, yeah. So
And
happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Part one was so fun. I loved reviewing it. And we sort of ended part one in talking about what religion you were raised.
Mhm.
And I follow that with this question. Do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
I think they're both good and evil in all of the people. It's not, well, maybe it is something outside of a person also, but I think most of the time it's evil on the inside rather than the outside.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, it's hard because a lot of people say everyone's capable of evil.
Yeah,
And they also say something went haywire. They had trauma. They were raised
yeah,
poorly. They but
yeah. No, nobody becomes evil because of a good life they're having. Like it's almost. I think it's pretty much always from something bad that happened to them or with them. I'm not
right,
saying they're not guilty of it. I'm just saying that nobody's gonna do bad things because they're so happy and so like good.
right, and that's the thing. Guilty brings up that word that's so popular now is accountability. Like if you do something
Mm.
bad, then do you get punished for it? And there's the other thing is how do you separate the sin from the sinner? You know, that's
Yeah,
a hard one too.
that's even like harder than the original question, I think.
It is. Like how much is the person involved in the sin actually, or is it some
Yeah.
other force? So here's the next question, and it's sort of hidden
Okay.
there.
Mhm.
How do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? And I'll set it up with a few modern thinkers' thoughts. Alan Watts says, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them. Coppola, the filmmaker, said he stole this from the mob and the samurais. Keep your friends close and your enemies close.
Enemies close.
JFK said, forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name. And Fellini says, I need an enemy. So it's a lot of thoughts, Cami. The basic question is, how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? But first, how would you respond to Alan Watts? If you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
Well, I don't think. Actually, I don't think so. I mean, knowing your enemies, whether it's like an actual, I think enemies nowadays sounds kind of very dramatic, but I mean, whatever enemy there is, like a bad habit or like a bad person or like some colleague and or real enemy. And I think if you know them, you're like at least aware of the situation, and it is better than to not knowing them. But maybe calling them an enemy, it's is giving them more importance than there is.
Like you just want to call them another person, but if they're doing you harm, how do you deal with it? That's the thing.
Mm.
Like how it's like to what degree,
Mm.
like if your little sister was being bullied at school, what would you tell her to do? Or would you give her any advice?
I would actually, I would give her advice, and I think it's a very like fine line between the situations where you can just ignore something, and then I don't know, the bully will just get bored because he didn't get any reply or any reaction that he wanted or they wanted. And there is another side of this situation when you should like stand up for yourself.
You
and
should stand up for
yeah,
yourself. Yeah. And
yeah,
then that's amazing because, the follow-up question is about punishment. Like, again, like, what do we do when somebody does harm? And so this is like Nassim Taleb said, games were created to give non-heroes the illusion of winning. In real life, we don't know who wins or loses, but we
yeah,
can tell who a hero is. My friend said, well, villains don't think they're bad. They want control. Heroes want freedom. And the anthropologist Gregory Bateson says, if the criminal gets caught, does he go, whoa, my criminal skills weren't up to snuff that day? Or does he go, wow, I did something morally and socially wrong? So again, it's a lot of prompts, but I mean,
yeah.
does punishment work?
I don't know. I think it depends on the person and the punishment, and there are so many things that affect the situation. But I believe in the principle of boomerang. I don't know exactly how it's called, but the the rule of a boomerang that whatever you did comes back to you, whether
Yeah.
it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. And I don't think for stuff like, I don't know, not some brutal sins or like crimes, but something that a lot of people do. I don't know, just some small mistakes or some small harm. I think it's not in these situations where not like anyone, not anyone, I'm sorry, where nobody is like extremely, I don't know, hurt or harmed. I think it's not up to you to, it's not your responsibility to make sure a person receives its punishment, because I think it will eventually come back to them this way or another, and you don't even have to do anything for it because it will happen just because it happens,
That's
Like
like,
the,
yeah.
yeah, but
Boomer,
that's,
go
mm.
ahead. Sorry.
No, it's not about some like crimes where the punishment I think should be received by the law and by the government, like by laws.
But I'm curious because boomerang sounds like karma. And
Yeah, it
call
kind of does.
it's like what you do comes back to you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know. It's just if someone did me like dirty or like did something I didn't like, I don't know. I'm gonna get over it and then I'll just forget about it. Like I will remember it, but I'm not gonna hold grudges because I don't really care anymore. And I think if they did me like very wrong, it will come back to them eventually, and I don't have to worry about like a revenge or anything.
Really good words like revenge and boomerang. But
Yeah,
I'm curious your influence of your mom being a psychologist teaching you that, and then being raised Islam or your religion. Do they say do they believe in karma?
they believe in God and that He will do what should be done, or He will do a lot of things that are actually right, but we might not get it. And everything happens for a reason. And I'm not saying this stuff based on, I don't know, crimes or like very um, morally wrong things, but just some normal human interactions that might go south from time to time. I don't know. My mom's actually not as chill as me on this topic. She's like very protective when it comes to her family or the people she loves, or to herself at that point. And she's the one who can confront someone if they did her wrong, or like she's not going to be as peaceful about it as I might be. Not exactly peaceful, but like as I said, kind of chill.
Yeah. She stands up for her rights, in other words, or she stands up for what she.
Yeah, yeah, she stands up for what she believes is right, and she's all about the fairness and everybody should be treated the same way, and there's, you know, some things like that. About religion, I think there is a lot of non-direct effect of it, because I think the thing I'm talking about is kind of comes from an earlier age, I think, than sorry, I don't speak English much in my normal life.
No, you're doing good. You mean it comes to you from an earlier age, or
Yeah, I think
yeah.
I got like affected by Islam, and when my father got into religion more, and it was later than I figured that I don't have to be the one who says like this is wrong and you should answer for those question for those things you did and stuff. You
Right.
just have to I think you just have to let go, and you have to think about yourself, about
Yeah.
your well-being, rather than person receiving what you think they deserve, because you don't know the whole picture.
Yeah, it's good, Cami, because sort of that's what Alan Watts is saying. If you don't acknowledge your enemy, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them. Well, if you don't acknowledge them, you empower
Yeah,
them, because if they're doing you harm. So there's a lot of
yeah,
leeway in his comment, but it's
sure.
again, it's just a jumping off point. But I'm
Yeah.
curious, how close is Sufi philosophy the same as Islam, or is it different?
Which philosophy? I didn't quite catch that.
Sufi, Sufi.
Oh, I don't know exactly. I mean, it's something inside the religion, but it's like if actually like different views. And I'm not, I don't have enough knowledge on this to comment this like properly.
Right. Do
Uh,
you know the poet Rumi?
yeah, I do.
Because he's a Sufi, I believe.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, now we can jump right into James Joyce, which is the human
Yeah.
being who actually united us together. Thanks
Yeah.
God. Thank God for
Actually.
James Joyce. He was the first projectionist in Dublin running a movie theater called Volta Cinema. And he basically checked out. He said, "This is stupid. Why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree?"
Yeah.
And years later, William Faulkner said, "Sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism." Why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
Well, I think we just get caught up in things. Like, I don't know. For me, it's like Studio Ghibli's movies. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's like Japanese anime studio, which films I really like.
Yeah,
And it's like really peaceful, and it's all about living your life, doing chores, like spending time with your loved ones, doing simple stuff, and being happy about it. And
yeah,
it kind of gives you this inspiration to just romanticize your life to a certain level, to make it enjoyable, to do simple stuff. Well, I think people, no matter how thoughtful they are or how like grateful they are for what they have, kind of like understand the importance of things when things are gone or like ended or like out of reach. You know, when they say, uh, actually, I don't know if there is such a phrase in English, but when something's gone, you understand how important it was or how dear it was to you. And I think it works a lot of ways. Like you're doing a lot of stuff. For example, you're like overworked and stuff like that, and you're like, there's so much work, and I don't have time for anything. And then another time of your life, you don't have any work, and you're like wishing you had some stuff to do, some work to do. Or like it's the same with people. It's the same with health. Like we're not. I don't. Especially at a young age, I don't think we're doing a lot of stuff for our health, and then we will get sick or like when the back pain starts and stuff, we start to think about it. It's kind of off the topic.
No, that's not off topic because it goes back to your first answer. The first question in part one is being aware of
Yeah,
presence. So that's the thing. Does creating art distract us or make us more aware of of life? Because it's that difference between entertainment and the different. Here's a good time to interject the well, basically what McLuhan says is there a difference between entertainment and education? Like when you're watching anime, you're like, oh, I'm just going to chill out and watch this Japanese animation, but then you learn something from it. So
yeah, sure.
yeah, so that's like, what's the difference? Like uh I guess Auden said it best, the poet. The mystery of art is that we don't know if it activates or pacifies us. Because it could just, like you use the word chill. Well, I'm just going to chill out and watch TV now or a movie. But
Yeah,
then in the midst of that, you might learn something about living and it might reflect or resonate with your own life.
yeah, it might. I
Yeah.
think it's all about the point of view. It's
Yeah.
all major changes I've not all, but a lot of major changes I've been through life. I think it's not because something like happened. It's because something like kind of clicked in my mind, and I slightly changed the my point of view, and it just changed it all. And I think it's more about what your point of view in life and whatever it is that changes it or makes it stay the same.
Yeah. That word point of view comes up with a word in part one where you say framing. It's like
Yeah,
framing it, putting on your reality
yeah,
goggles. Yeah. So that's funny you said that because it anticipated the next question, Cami. Perfect. Is where's your tipping point where your calling at this point is like you're studying to be a journalist?
hmm,
And where's your tipping point where you said, "Oh, that's what I want to do"? Because you did talk about you liked drawing early on,
yeah,
and, and you liked reading,
yeah.
and then you said, "Okay, well, I can." And I loved how you said you watched your your granddad read the newspaper.
Hmm.
So I mean, where did you become aware that, oh, somebody writes articles in newspapers? I want to do that. Where's your tipping point? And like, what are you what are you studying? Did you go right into college to study journalism, or did you go in and then try to find what you were studying? Like, where's that tipping point where you decided that's my calling?
Yeah. Mhm. Well, I think somewhere around middle school, I was like, journalism is great, it's very interesting. I liked learning new things, like doing research, doing some like activities around reading, researching, and like talking to people. And that was like a big thing going on for me in during middle school. And then when I got to high school, everything got like mixed up, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, what I should do. There was a lot of questions and not enough answers. And then I think there's a university that I applied for, and there was 7 choices or up to 10 choices that I could have made. That I could have made, like 10 specialties or like 10 majors that I could have choose. And journalism was somewhere around the end of it, actually, surprisingly. And then I received a letter that said um, you can come and you can like apply for journalism here. And then I just did. I didn't decide anything.
Yeah.
Actually, it kind of got decided on its own for me, and I was very happy about it. I had some doubts about whether it suits me or not, but I think it was like a sign for me because it came to me on its own. There was a lot of things I was not sure of and stuff, but as I studied my major, I understood that not, as you said, I like drawing and I like reading. And by doing journalism, I can kind of do both. You know, I can write about drawings and art and books. That's what I like about journalism. That whatever you like, you can write about it, or like research.
Right. I love the words research. Yeah. But did you ever aspire to do nonfiction, fiction writing, or did you go? Have you written poems or short stories or creative writing all along, or you just said, "Oh, I'm going to more gravitate towards nonfiction"?
Well, I grew up being a reader, like loving books and reading. So I always had that. You know the phrasing when they say good. I think good students make good teachers. Good readers make
Yeah.
good writers, and also and something like that. I don't remember it exactly. And I wrote stories when I was a kid. I think maybe even poems. They weren't any good, or like I didn't write. I didn't like poems as much as I did in novels and like prose. I was more into prose, and
Yeah.
I still am. I did write some essays or some research stuff or some fictional stories, but not much. I didn't do it when I was like a grown up or I don't know in high school and stuff. It kind of stayed at the childhood. Maybe I'll try again. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we're the end of
yeah,
part one. I says, "Hey, you want to do a project?" And now here we are, a half year later, doing a project together, writing fiction basically, but we're sort of
yeah,
crossing over and inventing our own new genre. Ha ha ha! That's funny, but
yeah.
it's
I think it is fiction though. It's not like
yeah,
it's
it is fiction, but it
yeah.
is amazing because a screenwriting teacher told me great art is when you can clearly see the intention of the maker. And Stanley Kubrick says the opposite. Great art is when you can clearly not see the intention of the maker. What role does intention play in your creative process when you're writing?
Well, it depends actually. I was reading a book, and the one character in it says like if you don't know why the person there was like all about music and they were studying music and stuff. And her teacher, I think, said if you don't know why you're studying music or why you play the piano, it means like you're not gonna make it to be a good pianist or to be a good musician. Because you have to know why you do it and why you love it. And I don't know, actually. Maybe sometimes intention is like very important, but sometimes the mere fact that you like it, it's enough of an intention, I think.
Yeah, that's really good because the follow up is Marcel Duchamp said there's no art without an audience. How much are you thinking of your reader when you're writing?
Well, when I write researches, not researches, when I write news articles for my, I don't know, homework, assignments, or for my studies, I try to look at it from my readers, from a possible reader's view, because as I'm writing it, I'm all about it. Like I'm in the field, I'm in this topic, and they're not researching it. They're not interested. They might not be even interested in it. And if a person that has nothing to do with the topic I'm writing about is gonna read it, I want them to understand it clearly and
Yeah.
like have some picture in their mind as they're reading it. I think that's important when I about our project though. I think I do think about reader because I would like to be a reader of our project myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like for author to actually like make some steps to contact the reader. I don't know, it's some kind of that. I think it's actually the dialogue between the author and the reader is something very special.
Yeah, so who growing up you connected with the most that you felt that that writer was aware of you, Cammie's need to read a book. I mean, it was like, have you read Catcher in the Rye by
Yeah,
yeah, Catcher in the Rye, he says, Holden Caulfield, the protagonist, says, when you're reading a good book, it feels like you're talking with your good friend.
yeah,
And I mean, that's an amazing thing to say in a book that is like one of the most read books all over the world for years. And
mm,
Salinger's an incredible character, the author. But I mean, who just maybe a couple books or authors that you felt they were your friend when you were reading their book?
I think growing up it was Harry Potter
Yeah.
most of the time. I actually did a news article on Harry Potter for my final project. It was great. Um, Also, I don't know, I was just so into the whole thing, and I kind of still am. I like felt as a person inside the book. Like I think I remember rereading the books. I think hoping desperately for it to be more, or like for the stories to continue. But I knew there isn't going to be such thing. But still, you want to live in their reality and stuff. Besides of that, it was not growing up, but I think I. Do you know Goldfinch by Donna Tartt?
No, but tell me about it, please.
It's a story. It's a story of a boy and he's art painting, kind of. Like it's a very
Yeah.
good story, by the way. It's a big book, and I was very like I didn't know if I could read all of it. Like I do love reading, but most of the time I do not like very profound or like very big books. But it was great. Um, I read another story of that author. I don't remember what it was called. I don't know the translation in English. But it was great too, and I felt like I was some sincerity and some. I couldn't relate to the. It's not necessary about how you can relate to the characters. It's just something that makes you like it in a certain type of way. Um, Besides that, I don't know actually. I liked a lot of classics like Jane Austen. Um, Besides that, Chronicles of Narnia I also liked very much. Also, I liked for a certain time I liked Haruki Murakami, Japanese author, and his novels and stuff. I read I think a lot of his works and I was very into it at the time. Um, but I don't know. I think Jane Austen is like
Yeah.
that for me, and
That's
her.
good. It's amazing. You've given me some good feedback there on that. And
Mm,
I'm curious, when you write yourself, McLuhan says everything we invent extends some humanness. So
mm,
like knife and fork extends our teeth. The
yeah.
shutter in a camera extends our eyelid, and maybe non-tangible, say religion or philosophy, might extend consciousness. What does the writing utensil extend for you? Whether it's a keyboard or a pen, what humanness is extended for you by the writing utensil?
I don't know. You mean what I think it's more human about writing?
Well, it's sort of like McLuhan calls it a human sensorium, but
Mm,
it's like, or no, he calls it a sensorium, but it's sort of like a sense. So, like, we don't need a knife and a fork, but we think we do, so we invented it because we could cut up food with our teeth.
yeah,
So it sort of is extending your teeth, but it
yeah,
it is also poetic and metaphoric too, because people say various things. When I say, well, what is their main tool in their art form extend? Like, what does the paintbrush extend for
yeah,
you? Like when you were drawing, what did the pencil extend? What humanness did it extend out of your body? Actually, McLuhan got it from Walt Whitman, but I mean, it's an interesting concept that we extend our body parts in our insides of our bodies through our inventions.
Yeah, I think when I'm drawing or when I'm writing, I would like for my pen or like the computer that I'm typing on to be a part of my mind, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's always better when it's in your head than the actual thing you do, at least at the first few tries. But most of the time it's about, I don't know, it's about the mindset, I think. Sometimes you're very conscious of the way you type or the way you draw. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it doesn't work it doesn't work a lot. And sometimes you just kind of don't think much and don't have a certain destination where you want all of this to go. You're just doing something, you're just typing or you're just drawing, and it kind of happens on its own, like an improvisation or, I don't know, just doing something for the sake of doing it.
Like you're in the flow.
Yeah, and like when they say the goal is not the result, but the process itself, kind of thing. I think it should be like that more, because results are not that important anyway. And whatever you do, you're gonna get a result, a good one or a bad one. You might like it or not, but it's still a result. It's all about the process, I think.
Where'd you learn that from, Cami? The process is more important than the product. You know where you got that?
Not exactly, but I think it's just about life when you kind of postpone everything. You're saying like, I'm gonna do that when I achieve that, or like when I get that grade, I'm gonna be happy, or like when I get to this goal, I'm gonna be spending time with this person and that person and stuff like that. And you just kind of wait till you do some stuff, and I think you shouldn't.
Yeah,
because it's not that important after all.
It's really smart, very wise.
Thanks.
And so this is Friedrich Schiller. He's a playwright, and he took poetry and said there's two different modes of poetry. And there's probably more, but this is just the way he divides them.
Sure, yeah.
I'm curious your philosophies on his two modes. One is the naive mode. It's ancient and assumes that language is a window into reality. Two is the sentimental mode, which belongs to our artificial age and sees language as a mirror to our inner turmoil. So it's sort of like the naive is outer and the sentimental is inner. I mean, is that what you're talking about? There's like two modes, like one's a window into reality and one's a mirror of your innerness.
Well, maybe, yeah. It's I think it's actually both, because you cannot. I don't think you can just do the outer thing or just the inner thing. I don't think you can part them, because there's something. Because they're inseparable, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't actually know. What do you think on that?
Yeah, no, it's interesting because it's sort of like the difference between nonfiction and fiction. Because as a journalist, you can't just make stuff up. You've got to say, okay, I studied this topic. I researched, as your word is so important, I researched the topic. Here's what I found out. And then there's people who have made up stuff and snuck it in to research and got away with it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people like that too. Well, you know what? We're studying like liberal. I don't know the translation of it in English, but you know the liberals say that media should be like objective and it should be fair and it should be completely independent of anything and stuff like that. And it's kind of You're looking at it through the pink glasses. You're like
Yeah.
seeing it very idealistically, and I don't think that exists. Like
No,
I
it
get
doesn't.
the idea. I get
Yeah.
the idea, and it's very good, and I wish it was like that. But I don't think anyone's independent on that, or anyone's objective. Even like even the best journalists in the world, I don't think they're objective. There are still people.
Exactly. No, we all
Yeah,
have
there's
our
people.
bias. Yeah. But you
Yeah,
try.
because
Yeah. The
it's
the king of that liberal bias in
yeah
America was I.F. Stone. He put out his own newsletter because he tried to make, you know,
yeah
a really deep investigative researching. And
yeah
I love his line, the truth as I see it. So he knew it's
yeah
how I see it. But it's
sure
still, you can't escape your bias, but
yeah
there is a fine line in defining, hey, you're leaning a little towards this agenda or that agenda when you write
yeah
a newspaper article.
because when you're writing a news article, it's up to you what to do with what to give first and what to tell exactly, because you have, for example, a conference, and you cannot give the conference as it is, the
Yeah.
whole thing. You have to make it to, like, I don't know, to a 2 minute reading text, and you gotta like choose something that you think it's important,
Yeah.
and you think it's important for more people. Well, I like this saying that you said, the truth as I see it,
Yeah.
because you know, I don't think people can be objective, like,
Yeah.
because it's like an utopia.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know.
Well, it's a human thing, back to
Yeah,
being human and being aware that you have your biases, but you can still
yeah,
consider the other point of view.
sure.
That's like McLuhan called it suspended judgment. And
Hmm.
he said understanding is not having a point of view. Well, good luck. But he's saying
Yeah,
in order to we you really emphasize this in part one is you're after the big picture, the comprehensive picture, and then you're going to narrow it down and go, okay, I'm going to write about this book club reading this book. But
yeah,
you were basically, oh, okay, here's a big picture of why do book clubs
mhm.
exist.
Yeah. I think it's hard to look from the big picture because we all see everything through our small picture,
Yeah.
and
Good wording, because I was going to bring up in the documentary filmmaking, they call it fly in the soup or fly on the wall. So you can be a fly on the wall just observing.
mm,
And there's certain filmmakers who are observational filmmaking. They just
mhm.
observe. And then there's fly in the soup, meaning they're right in there and they're part of
Yeah,
the dialogue with their
yeah,
subjects, and they're interacting with them.
yeah. Actually, it's kind of connected to the question you've asked me, where you said what kind of books you felt more connected to growing up, and
Yeah.
what felt like the author was having dialogue with you. I think when the books is written from the person's POV, I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind you feel like unintentionally you feel more close to them than if it
Yeah.
was written from a third person.
That's
Maybe
amazing.
that's why.
Saying you can relate more when they're actually being human and saying, hey, I like this more than I like
Yeah,
that. You know,
yeah. Maybe
amazing.
that's why classics are more distant. I feel like that's more objective, maybe then,
Yeah.
because most of them, I think, most of classics are written not from person's kind of point of view, but from like a separate author.
Very interesting, because I'm curious. I spoke with the filmmaker who made great documentaries, Michael
Mhm.
Apted. I said, why do rock video editors feel so obliged to edit fast? In 1980, MTV first started, and there was a lot of quick editing.
Mm-hmm.
And this was actually invented in 1922 in France by Abel Gance. It's called rapid montage. And now, you're involved with these digital editing programs. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
Michael, why do they feel so obliged to edit fast?
Mm-hmm.
He said, because we've learned to take in information faster. And Marty Scorsese even said, I cut my films faster because of MTV. So it became a dominant force, this rapid
Mm-hmm.
montage. And I asked this question with a bias. Can humans literally learn to take in information faster, or are we just brainwashed to believe we can?
Well, I think it's about the differences between different differences between different. It's kind of it's about difference in generations, I think, because a lot of research and stuff show that people who are born into technology times and stuff are more integrated with the technologies and are more used to it because they're born into the time where it was a reality for everyone. And I don't know. I think it's more about the world that you've grew up in, and then you became an adult, and then you lived in most of your life, than it is about the generational technologies.
Really, that's amazing. So you think your generation probably can take in information faster if they're editing rapidly?
I don't know about that for sure.
I tried to lead you on there, Cammy, and you're like, no, I don't know about that.
I don't know if I said that. Yeah,
but you know what I'm talking about. I mean, kids, your generation, you can look at a cell phone, you can do a Zoom, you can do many things at once.
Yeah, there's just sure. Yeah, exactly. I was reading as I was doing my homework or as I was reading. I used to listen to music because it helped me concentrate. And my father was like, "What exactly are you doing? How you can read and listen to music at the same time? Isn't it like messes with your reading and stuff?" I said, "No, it's kind of helps me like focusing actually." And the thing you said, it's like we can do a lot of stuff, but I don't know if it's the same thing in the world too. But I think my parents actually remember stuff they did in school, like they learned in school, or like very like I don't know old stuff. Like some things I don't remember about my school and about what I learned exactly, and they still remember it. And it's actually amazing.
Because they had less, their memory is more focused, and you had more. You may be okay. So, but
maybe it's about educational system. I don't know.
Say it again.
Maybe it's about educational system. I'm not sure.
See, that's the big picture. It could be the educational system. It could be the editing on the technologies we're using. It could be many things. But the real hidden question, Cammy, is can humans literally multitask?
Multitask. Well, I think they can. I think we can. Because I don't know. I don't. I think it's about the perception of multitasking. But I mean, not our mind. We're always thinking and we're doing something. It's actually doing two things at once. I don't know. We're breathing. I don't know. Our blood's moving. Like our body's doing multitasking all the time. Doesn't matter what we do at this moment. We could be asleep, for that matter, and our body's still doing a lot of works and multitasking on its own. So I think, it's about what you mean by multitasking, but I think, sure.
I like your word perception there. Is perception reality?
For the person who's perceptioning it, yes.
Perceiving it, yeah, that's good. For the person who's perceiving it, it is reality.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think reality. There's no such thing as reality because it changes um, with your perception. It's
Yeah,
different for everybody. It might be the same for everybody because I think we're kind of brainwashed, all of us. So a lot of things are the same for all of us.
yeah,
But there's still different things because we're different. Like, but I don't know. It's just some stuff are so familiar for all of people, whether it's from an ancient time, whether it's like in I don't know during this times or in the future. I think person like people human is always a human.
yeah. It's really good. It reminds me of Lily Tomlin, the comedian, said, reality's just a collective hunch. It's like we're all just kind of agreeing that, Zooms work really good. I still
Yeah,
can't believe you're in Turkey and I'm in America and we're talking like we're in the same room. You know,
yeah, it's
it,
amazing.
it's really amazing.
That what I like about technology.
Yeah. Like, how in the world could we ever connect? That's just too freaky. I don't know how this happened. But
Yeah, it's all about James Joyce and my friend
yeah, Layla and Joyce. Yeah, but
Joy.
it
Yeah,
isn't because you still had to make a decision and you had to reach out and send an email
yes,
and then
it's about
and then I
how I perceived it.
and you have to realize, well, maybe it went into spam. I know, sometimes your emails go into spam and you don't know that it's somebody
Yeah,
reaching,
sure.
because I check spam 5 to 10 times a day.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, because I rarely, but I didn't know about spam for like many years. And then I realized, like, oh my God, I probably missed some things. But I
It's like
rarely,
instant FOMO.
yeah, it's like weird. So what do you think the motive of the cave artist was?
Cave artist. I don't. I think for us like human, it's important to understand something in order to accept it. So I think they were just trying to understand something or to I don't know try something, not try something new. It's kind of weird to say about cave artists, but I think they were just showing their perception of the world. I don't
Yeah,
know. They're just expressing themselves because
yeah.
I think everybody needs that expression in one form or another.
It's really good, because this word expression is exactly what I'm going to ask in the next question. Again, you have ESP. It's two of my film heroes say, ignore yourself. There's no self-expression. And the great jazz pianist Cecil Taylor says, I'm just a vehicle, and this just comes through me. So
Mhm.
is art making more self-expression or more you're a vehicle for whatever technologies, environments, and cultures are dominant?
Well, again, I think it's both. I have trouble choosing something, as you might
Yeah,
understand. I think it's actually both because about the caveman artist, by the way, it's similar to what you said about James Joyce. I think it's why we have to show the tree in a movie when we can go outside and see a tree itself. I think it's the same because they were drawing something they could see in real life, and they did it. So it's only normal for us to do it still. And about the two things, I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if we can ever separate ourselves from the environment we're in. I think we kind of could, but it's more, it's a lot of bigger part of us than I think we realize. It's it's major part of who we are, I think, at at one point. So
yeah,
it's something, it's just when you, I don't know, especially I think in my age, when you're trying to learn about the world and also to try to learn about yourself and you're changing, I think you kind of start thinking whether it's the thing I'm thinking about, is it my thought or is it something that I was uh, given at some point? Is it because of the society I was in? Is it because of my family? Is it because of my friends? Is it some kind of influence, or is it my thought? Is it only my thought? You know what I mean? Does it only belong to me, or was it influenced by something?
It's really heavy, Cami, because that's called causality. That's the main thing McLuhan studied, was what causes things, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, oh no, you failed as a human. No, I'm caught up in this technology, swirry over. Our town of Venice is overrun by driverless cars. Everywhere there are driverless cars, and they're testing how well they work. And
yeah,
I'm like riding my bike and I look at this car and no one's in it. I'm like, what if that
yeah.
car hits me? I mean, it's really overwhelming. And one
Yeah, I've
friend,
heard
I
about
I,
it.
I had a meeting yesterday at the Venice Heritage Museum, and I said, hey, they're using our town to test this. How do you
Yeah.
people feel? And one of my friends said, it's great because they're smarter than all the stupid drivers. And
Oh
that
yeah.
was horrible to hear, but it was his opinion. So again, it was finding out,
Yeah.
causality. And it also reminded me what you said was saying, is it more self-expression or more your environment? When they asked McLuhan, well, what, the extension question, like what does
Mhm.
a pen or a keyboard extend? What
Yeah.
humanness? And they said, what does a movie extend for a human? What humanness, human sensorium is extended by
Mhm.
movies? Said the foot.
The foot.
The
The
foot
most
because you're
sensitive.
traveling. So I
Oh,
mean, the foot could be applied to books too. Because I mean, take the books you mentioned, Harry Potter or Jane Austen. You
yeah.
were literally traveling to other times and
Sure.
other places. So
Sure.
it's
Yes.
it's
It's a
extending.
time machine.
Yeah,
It's very interesting, and it's, as you said, all about perception. Because when
yeah,
you said foot, I didn't think about traveling.
yeah. You
You
don't. I
don't.
mean, most people don't say that. Most people say, "What does a movie extend?" They say your eyes or your memory. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
tell you. My favorite was one of my favorites is this poet from Italy. I says, "What does the pen extend?" He goes, "My tears."
Oh.
Because it was
I
how he
get it.
gets his emotion out through his
Yeah.
pen. You know
That is true.
what, Cami? What's more important, conviction or compromise?
Conviction is our compromise. What do you exactly mean by conviction? Can you
Conviction
explain
is being you're dedicated to
that?
something and you're focused on that.
Mhm.
Compromise, is more like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
give
yeah.
and
That.
take, but it's sort of the opposite of compromise
Mhm,
in a way.
mhm.
It's like you're
Yeah,
de- you're you're destined to say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm
mhm,
dedicated to
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I think it's about balance. I think compromising it's more relatable, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe conviction it's what drives people to do some things. But I think
Yeah.
compromise. I think a lot of things you do in life is more of a compromising
Yeah.
all the time with yourself, with others, with the situations you're in and stuff. Also, for me, I wasn't more. For me, it's more compromise because I was never sure enough in something to convict it.
Yeah.
Not never, but most of the time, I wasn't sure about what I want to like study as a major and stuff like that. It was just an example.
But that's
What do you? What do you think?
well, that's I ask all these questions because I want people to answer them the way I feel. But I also love
That's
when
your goal for the interviews, I think.
yeah, but I mean in a way, but I mean it's also because I can learn all these different opinions.
Sure,
80
yeah.
80% of people say conviction. But when someone
Really?
says, "Oh yeah," most people say conviction, but when people say compromise, it goes, "There's no right or wrong answers," but that one you got right because I think that's what life is all
Yeah,
about.
that's
Life is all
exactly.
about compromising. I mean, everybody's convicted. We know that. You like, oh my God, I'm hungry. I got to go get some food. Like,
Sure.
oh no, come and talk to me for a half hour. I have a problem.
Yeah.
Well, Marlena Dietrich, who's one of my favorites, you got to check her out. The movie star. She said a good friend is someone who you can call at 2 o'clock in the morning and they'll
Yeah,
answer the phone and talk to you. It's like, hey, no, I'm sleeping right now. No, I need to talk to someone. And then that's
sure.
what a good
It's
friend is.
compromising.
Yeah.
You actually, the thing you said about the fact that you think compromising is the right answer because you think so. It's exactly what my good friend in the past said to me. He asked me a question, Adidas or Nike, so like very simple one, and I said, I'm not sure, but I think Nike, not Nike, Nike. You say Nike, right?
Nike? No,
Yeah,
how do you spell it? Nike.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I say Nike, and I think in America they say Nike.
Yeah.
I was not sure, but I said I think Nike, and he said, "Oh yeah, I think so. That's a great answer. I like it because, and not because I think the same thing." And then he messaged me again, and said, "Exactly because I think the same way."
Yeah. It's the commonality we
Yeah.
find. Yeah. Okay, this is fun. So, in your accomplishments in your life so far, how do you rate these three elements? Luck, skill, and ambition. What's played the biggest role, second and third?
Luck, skill, and ambition. Uh, Luck, skill, and ambition. I think I'm not sure. That's like a good questions you were asking. I think, yeah, I always knew that, but it's like when you ask them, it's kind of strikes you a bit. I wouldn't call it this way though. I think it's about when when people say talent, whether it's a skill or hard work. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
something as a gift or like a work. I
Yeah.
think skills and work is more important than talent or I don't know how successful you are at the
Yeah.
starting point. But luck is also very important because you got to be in the right place at the right time. And if you're not, no matter how hard you're working. But if you are working, I think there eventually there will be some right time for you, and you're gonna be in the right place. So I think it's skill. By skill, I mean like working and getting that skill.
Yeah.
I think skill, then luck, maybe then ambition. I don't know. I think ambition for me, it's more, I don't know, kind of, it has like a bad meaning. Because ambition is something very like,
Oh yeah, no, it connotates, so you're trying too hard. Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
ambitions
No, it
all
carries
about,
it carries a little negative baggage, but no, it's
yeah,
great to find people who are ambitious. I mean, I've been
yeah,
ambitious
that's
in my
amazing.
life.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It,
I'm like, I don't care anymore. Okay, that's enough. But
yeah. In some,
go ahead.
in some sense, if there was no ambition, there wouldn't be any work and therefore any luck.
There you go. There. It's amazing. The three. I don't know how I found them. Oh no, I know how I found them. This is funny because first of all, I'll tell you. Some people go, it's none of those three. It's purpose. It's
Yeah.
destiny. It's
Yeah.
persistence. It's
Sure.
necessity. So just because I give those three, it came from this. The history of this question is it's way back. I started asking because one of my mentors in interviewing Christine McKenna would say, is ambition based more on fear or on joy? Now, then people would just go fear or joy. Usually they go fear, and then people who are positive go, oh, I'm ambitious because it's joyous. It's like, yeah, right. So this is like, I read the interview with the filmmaker William Friedkin. He did a film called The Exorcist. And he says, in Hollywood, skill and luck have nothing to do with it. It's all ambition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean that again is, people are negative towards Hollywood. It's plastic and blah blah blah. But some films are artful and a lot of films are stupid. But in essence, he's
There's a lot of, yeah.
trying to
There's a lot
say,
of,
you don't have to be skillful. You don't even have to be lucky. Just promote yourself like crazy and you'll get somewhere. And I
yeah,
mean,
that's
a
true.
lot of art and a lot of music and a lot of films do that. And I mean, that's what YouTube is. I mean, in social media is how ambitious you're going to be doing nothing. But one thing you said, Cami, that really resonated was the golfer Gary Player said, the more you practice, the luckier you get. So the
Yeah,
more, that's what you said, the more skill you're working, you're going to get lucky or opportunity. Yeah.
my teacher from art school used to say that, or maybe it's not his phrase. I don't know where he got that from. I think I've seen that somewhere on the internet. He used to say that inspiration is going to find you while you're working, because only then it is any efficient or in any use for you.
It's really
and about
good.
Hollywood, I think there's a lot of bad stuff. That's a lot of bad things about it, or maybe a lot of bad things that are said about it. But everyone's watching it nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's kind of paradox. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's mainstream media, I think.
Yeah. It's also not knowing,
Yeah.
we learn stuff, and then how do you unlearn stuff? Once you learn it, you think, oh, that's right. It's like, no, maybe there's a whole different way. No, I'm confident and comfortable with knowing now that I know.
Yeah, but sometimes after you know something, you realize you would be more comfortable without knowing it. The less you know, the better you sleep, as they say.
Amazing. So T.S. Eliot said that poetry is outing your inner dialogue. What language is your inner dialogue in, your inner voice?
Well, I think it again it differs, and it's depending on the situation. For example, I think for me, learning and language is about the good things happen when you start to think in that language, because I'm not. I'm more used to speak Russian than my native language, Kazakh, but I'm not saying stuff when I talk English or Turkish. I'm not saying them. I'm not thinking them in Russian and then translating them most of the time. When I'm only learning it, yes, then I think in Russian and then I translate it to whatever language that I'm learning. But I think inner dialogue, it's depending on what kind of environment you are, because now that I'm surrounded by Turkish language, I think it has a lot of influence on me, and it has a lot of influence on other languages that I'm speaking, because I'm being like very terrible in all of them actually, all the time. I don't know how people do it. It's like it's mixing. It's a total mix of everything and anything, and I forget anything and everything. And I was complaining about it to my mom. I'm saying, how are they living in different languages and how does it work like perfectly? And she said, they're not. It's just the same thing as it's with you.
What, did she know 4 languages too?
Maybe not 4, but like 3. Same thing, actually.
She's more 3. How is her English? Is her English as good as yours?
I think it was because she used to do translations of some
Oh,
like corporate stuff and like
yeah.
very specific topics. But I think she doesn't get as much practice now, so she kind of forgets, uh, especially the speaking part. It's very easy to forget that if you don't practice it.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say something too. About the, I don't know if it's because of I'm more like humanitarian than a mathematician. I'm dividing it to two, but it's very like, I don't know, uh, it's not just two of them. It's not just two things, but I'm dividing it so it is more simple to understand. I don't think I comprehend numbers in other languages. I think I have to know them in the language that I'm more used to in Russian, because when they tell me in like numbers in Turkish, I'm just whoa, slow down. I didn't get it. Like I have to hear it. Then I have to picture it in my mind, and only then I can understand it. And when I'm doing like homework with my little sister, I'm like, hold on. I know it's just a second grade, but it's kind of hard because you're saying it in Turkish. I don't know if
Kenny,
I'm just stupid like that, or maybe it's a common
no, that's
thing.
not
Maybe I
stupid.
just
That
have a problem with numbers. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful what you said because it reminded me of I was in Paris, France once, and I couldn't really speak French. I can only speak English. I can't speak anything else. But
Yeah,
I would go up, and some of the people in France walking down the street, they know English because as tourists are all around, and
sure,
they
yeah.
can, you know, and I'd go, "Parlez-vous anglais?" And they go, "Oui," and then I go, "How do you get to the subway?" And they go, "Slower,"
Oh,
meaning, "How do you get to the
yeah,
sub?"
yeah, that's
So
very
you're
common.
we just talk so fast, but I really am amazed
Sure.
at how well you do speak English very good, in my
Thank you,
opinion.
thank you. That
But
makes me very happy.
but Tammy, my thing is the question is it's metaphorical
Yeah,
also. What form is your inner consciousness in? Like your innerness, how
yeah.
would you describe that in words?
Well, I don't think it's a voice. I don't
It's
think I
not a
have.
voice.
Yeah, it's not. With all the things they say about inner voice and stuff, I'm not sure if I have it an inner voice. I'm not
Wow.
sure it's like an audible in my head. I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's just a monologue. I think I'm talking nonstop and I wish I didn't, but I cannot like, stop it because it's in my head. And sometimes it's a dialogue. Sometimes it's even like a group of people are talking,
Yeah.
and all of like my the people that I know are talking in my head with me or like for me. It's kind of all over the place.
It's
And they're talking in different languages, by the way. It's even more like mixed up.
it's
I think
it's
it's yeah, I think it's mostly words. I think it's more words because I get information better when I read it. When I hear it, if it's something I'm not familiar with, it's like it's the name of a museum. I don't know, name of a cafe or a name of an author I never heard of. I'm not gonna comprehend that. Like I have to read it in order to understand it. So I think most of the time it's just words. But when it comes to numbers, it's a picture. I have to picture them in order to understand them.
yeah. No, really well done. In fact, I was amazed at how you heard my radio show, the Frank Zappa rant, and were able to pick out things and say, "Oh, here's like 12 things that stood out." And I goes, "How could she tell that? Did she look at the transcript or did she hear them and write them down?" And I was amazed because no one ever is that detailed. They'll go, "Oh, I thought it was great." I was like, "Well, can't you give me some detail?" And my one friend complained and he said, "Dude, you talk too fast. You're overloading the listener." And so I was, again, I'm always impressed because when I'll say to you, check out this author, you usually type the name immediately. You know,
Yeah, because I
do,
forget.
you
I'm
know, do,
scared of
you do the research, but no, typing the word or the name, putting it on a piece of paper is one thing, but then following up is another.
yeah.
Yeah, and you follow up, so that's really good. So this is McLuhan probing Finnegan's Wake, saying that artists dream while they're awake. You know, we all have this creative power to create these
Mhm.
scenarios in the middle of the night when we're dreaming.
Sure.
And he says, and he's not trying to be elitist, but he's saying artists also create these while they're awake. They dream
Mhm.
awake.
Mhm.
Have dreams played a role in your creative process? Or what role have dreams played at all in your life?
Well, I don't know. It started, I think, very young when I used to have, when kids start to realize some things and they get certain fears that they're like scared of something and it comes to them in their dreams. And when, I don't know, I think it's very common for the kids.
Yeah.
And it started with those dreams. It's like sometimes they were similar to each other, I think. Sometimes my dreams are very chaotic, I must say. I'm not, it happens, it's like everything I've been through, everything I have ever done, it's like combined in a dream. Because sometimes I'm like, I'm telling it to someone, like, I had this dream, and the place was something between my old school and my like apartment when I lived there and there, and it's like mix of something. And also when I see people that I know in my dream, I know it's them, but when I remember it, if I remember it, because I don't usually do that, uh, I realize that they're looking different. They're not looking like people that I knew, but I know it's them, and it's kind of weird for me. And when I see something that kind of affects me, I try to understand what it is about and what my conscious or unconscious trying to tell me. Or what is it about? Um, I'm there's some stuff that I've written down from my dreams that I think could be like a good idea for a drawing or something. I think I wrote about it in our project. It's a phrase, podcasts, like not a podcast, but a podcasts, like a cat. And
Right.
I thought I could maybe turn it into a drawing and some stuff. There's one particular dream that I remember very vividly. It's when my grandmother was sick, and I remember my mom was taking care of her, and we were just with my dad on our on our own. I was going to school. It was like very missing mom, and like it was a kind of a hard time. And then one night I saw her in my dream, and she was just sitting on her bed in her room, and it was like a little lighted. And it was, I'm not sure if she said anything to me or if I did anything. I just saw her. I didn't see myself. I saw everything as I was there, as if I was there. And later that night, my dad like woke me up and said what we feared happened, meaning that she passed away. And it took me some time to process it and to, we needed to get moving to go to that town to find some stuff, to pack some stuff for mom because she was there. And it was like, it took me a lot of time to realize it, to comprehend it. But later that I just, mom said it and I thought it to myself that I think my grandmother was like, uh, giving me goodbye. She was like, came to me to give me to say goodbye to me, and I think that's the biggest thing about dreams for me. I didn't see her much afterwards because my mom sometimes sees her parents in her dreams. I don't see them much. I don't see them often. But that time, it's one of the dreams that I like remember very well. I don't know. I don't know what it means, but I think
No,
it's very
that was
meaningful to me.
extremely heavy, beautiful. Because
Yeah,
Tammy, you answered two questions. See, I don't ask the dream question that often, and I say, have dreams
yeah.
played a role in your creative process?
Why?
It's a stupid question because everybody knows dreams play a role in your creative process, but some people go, I woke up in the middle of the night and I wrote this song or I wrote this poem,
Yeah,
so but they don't know. Because one thing was, I was going to say, do you ever journal? Meaning, do you ever write your dreams down so that you can remember them? And then you went right into that without me asking the question. Then
yeah.
I often say, can you recall a dream?
Oh,
And just
I've
briefly
answered a whole
describe
set
it.
of questions about dreams.
Yeah, and that was like your grandmother saying, "Okay, bye, Cammy." In your
Yeah.
dream, the day before she dies. That's amazing.
No, it was the night she died.
The night of, I mean, even the night of. So, I
Yeah,
mean, of course, I mean, that's like that's unexplainable, but
yeah,
it's you tuned, it's your tune to the universe, in sort
yeah,
of,
I think so.
that was
She,
amazing.
yeah, I think it's a connection that people have. She was in coma, but before she went into that state, she was on and off, and she didn't see, she didn't talk much, but sometimes she was conscious, and she would ask about me or like grab whoever it was beside her and thinking it was me. And I think it was she loved me very much, and it was I loved her too. And I think it's because of our connection. I think it's just when things like that happen to you, you start to believe things how despite however strange they are, because it's unexplainable, but it did happen, and not everything is explainable. Yeah.
That's amazing, because that's the question I never asked. But are we watching it happen, or are we making it happen? Well, it's both. You made that happen in your head because you were thinking about your grandmother, and she maybe made it happen and says, I'm going to come into your dream. Who knows? That sounds kooky, but
Yeah.
we don't know. That's the beauty of life, is it's unexplainable, but we're going to still keep trying to explain it, you know.
Yeah, that's
Even if you're going to, and that's why, I mean, the name of our book is amazing. Oh, I die, question mark. That's like
yeah,
your grandmother didn't die. She just went into your dream, and now she will never die because you'll keep recalling that dream. Now
sure. Yeah,
you
in
have
some
other
sense, I know
memories
that.
too. You have other memories, but that was an amazing, strong one. That
Yeah, it's like they're gone, but they're never really gone at the
they're
same
never really
time.
gone. Exactly. That's reincarnation. Does Islam believe in reincarnation, life after death?
I don't think. I think they do believe in life after death, but not as reincarnation.
Not as reincarnation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a paradise and hell kind of
Right.
theory.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the Jean Cocteau quote
Hmm.
that I follow up the dream with. It's a filmmaker's privilege to be able to allow a large number of people to dream the same dreaming together. So, we're in a movie theater, we're all
Yeah,
dreaming the same dream together.
sure.
And to show us, moreover, the optical illusions of unreality with the rigor of realism. So I love it. He says,
Yeah,
you're having these unreality illusions, but it's the rigor of realism. You didn't doubt that. You didn't doubt that your grandmother appeared to you. It felt real.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's we have mountains where I live. Very weird question, very weird sentence, but we'll go with it. And my friend, we were walking to university, and she was looking at the mountains, and she said, "It looks like it's a simulacr. It looks like it's a um, well, I forgot the word. It is simultaneous or something like that. Like it's a parallel universe.
Oh, parallel universe?
Not
Yes.
like parallel universe, but like
Simultaneity?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel real. It feels like it's photoshopped there. It feels like
It
we're in a
feels
box.
like it's photoshopped. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like we're in a box and it's just some kind of decorations for it. And your question, the sentence made me think about that. It's just, I think it's real because
Yeah. Because it
with
is.
common sense, it is real, but it doesn't look like that.
Yeah. No, that's if you study Wittgenstein at all, I think he says that, words create the reality.
Uh,
The reality isn't there. We create reality by using
yeah,
words. I think I might have them all wrong, but basically that's why did humans invent language? So that we could ground ourselves and try to, back to your word, understand.
yeah, it's very interesting
Yeah.
about how people try to understand and explain anything in order to be like okay with it.
Yeah.
Because we're very afraid of uncertainty and things we're not familiar with. It just scares us.
Yeah. Why is it so difficult for humans to consider the possibility that life is pointless? Now, I'm not saying life is pointless. I'm
Yeah,
saying that why is it
that's
so hard for us to consider that it might be
mhm.
pointless?
Well, I think it's because it's hard. It's a lot of struggle. It's a lot of like strength people have to do to live their lives. And it's different for everybody, I guess, but I'm sure. But I think it's just a lot of troubles we're facing as we grow up. Even if you like live very peacefully and very good environment and stuff, you still face a lot of troubles.
Yeah.
And there you always have to do something. They're like telling you you have to go to school, you have to work, you have to do something, and then you have to marry, you have to have kids, you have to, and on and on and on. And it's like it's a lot of stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
It's only normal to ask why. Why do I have to do that? Or why it is the way it is. Kids ask a lot of questions. Why Earth is round? Why don't we see it? Why should we say stuff like that? And why shouldn't we say some words? I don't know. And it's on why we do what we do and why we live. I think it's just we question everything. And as I said, it's a lot of trouble to live, and we want it to be for something great, for something good, for
Yeah.
something that will benefit us. We don't want it all to be in vain. But I don't think it's in vain, even if life is pointless. The point
Yeah.
of life is just to live it.
Yeah. It's really good, Cami. Perfect. Because what you said is something I say to people all the time. They go, I have to go do this. I goes, there's no have tos in life.
Yeah,
And then they
you
go, you should do this. And I go, there's no
right.
shoulds. But we have the words have to and should. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, my body's telling me I have to do it. No, there's no have tos. Yes, there is. There is a have to.
Yeah, that's true. You said to me that laziness, it's the, what did you say, the highest form of living, of
Yeah,
existing?
if I said that, it's true. Yeah, it's got to be true. No, it's more like slack or chilling or relaxing.
Yes, yes, something like that.
Yeah,
Not doing like something, not.
yeah,
So it's always like there's always two sides of a coin.
yeah. So Lewis Carroll said in his book, I believe as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Have you believed in any impossible things lately?
Later or lately?
No, lately, like in
Late.
recently,
Yeah,
have,
recently.
have you believed in any impossible things?
Um, I like the word, I think, by Audrey Hepburn. She says, even the world impossible have possible in it.
Yeah,
It might not be like a direct quote, but something like that she did
yeah,
say, and I really like that quote.
yeah,
I think I don't know, even the story with my grandmother. I think how possible is that? But it
yeah,
did happen, at least for me. It
yeah,
did happen, so it is possible.
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't think of things impossible lately. I think I most of the time I thought about possibilities that might happen, especially like negative possibilities, if there is such a thing.
but are you mean you're saying that you're practical, you want to believe in things that are possible, or you're saying you're more an optimist or more a pessimist?
Oh no, I'm more of an optimist, I think,
Yeah,
but a realist, I
a
think.
realist. Yeah,
Maybe it's a bit brave to say it, but I try to be a realist because I'm more of an optimist. I think, um, I don't want to say everything's possible because it kind of like, it's big words, you know?
yeah,
But I think about all the possibilities because I get scared about things and I think, but what's the worst that could happen? Like it's not that bad after all, so it's even if the worst scenario happens, there isn't much you can do about it anyway if it happens. So what's the point in worrying? It's about anxiety, and worrying when I think about possibilities and stuff. I'm more of an optimist, I think.
yeah. That's good. Me too, because I might have said this in part one, but uh, it's like, what is the difference between worry and concern? Because I asked that question, what do you worry about when you go to bed at night? And, people will say various things. Oh, I worry about money or my family or health or the world
Mm-hmm.
situation or climate control or war or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother was a worry wart. She worried. And at her funeral service, I said, there's a lot of people in this room who worried that Dolores worried too much,
Yeah.
just to spoof them, like, hey, you're worrying too, that she worried too much. And in my
Yeah.
opinion, her worry was concern. It was just like, hey, I'm concerned about you. But some people go, oh no, worry is pushing it too far, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you differentiate between worry and concern? Is
Um,
there a difference?
I think concern is more real. Like it's actually like possible things that you're concerned about.
Yeah,
And worrying could be all over the place.
yeah,
It could not have an actual reason behind it, or it could not have like an exact, I don't know, any need for it, or it
yeah,
could be very outside of the topic.
yeah. That's good. Well, Cami, let's plan a part three down the line, because again, we only got through so many. It's great to see your smile, and it's so good to spend this
Thanks.
time with you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. And
it's always good. It's
you
always
know,
good to see you.
yeah, and it's so fun to work on a OID, man. That is like amazing projects, just forever flourishing and going every
Yes,
which way. And the
truly indeed, yes.
the whole introduction of seven, you know, uh,
It's my favorite number, by the way.
yeah, and the quadrivium and the trivium
Yes,
add up to seven. There's so many great
yes.
things.
I feel
So
like everything adds up to it.
it does, and it's funny because when we talked about your inner voice in your
Yeah,
inner,
it
that
doesn't comprehend numbers, yeah.
isn't that amazing, because it's almost like that's a good chapter right there, or not a chapter, but
Yeah,
insert that and
Sure.
into
Great.
words. That's the funny thing. It's like music. How do you put music into words? And I'm constantly talking to people about music, and we
Mhm.
try to put it into words, but it's something that exists somewhere else, and it doesn't have to have verbal words involved. It can
Yeah.
just, be, anything can
Yeah.
be
Sure.
amazing. I love
It's
when kids do little melodies. Yeah.
yeah. It's all about the framing.
Yeah. It's all about the process too, and the painting, and the
Yeah.
how to take the beauty of life a little farther if we can.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you, Cami. I really look forward to our next visit.
Thank you too. Thank you too. Kid, take care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.